Jet safety Jordan Whitehead, a childhood friend and college roommate of Damar Hamlin, and the rest of the NFL will honor the Buffalo Bills safety today. This Sunday is all about love for number 3, Damar Hamlin. The Jets and the Dolphins wrap up. The Jets and the Dolphins wrap up the 2022 regular season today in South Florida. While the Jets were knocked out of playoff contention last week, they can ensure the Dolphins won't be playing in the postseason as well. Welcome into Pregame Central, presented by Bud Light. I'm Eric Allen, riding solo here inside the studio. In a moment, we'll bring in Quincy Enunwa and Leger Douzable, plus Brian Baldinger, Caroline Hendershot, and Ethan Greenberg are in sunny Florida. But let's start right now with Quincy and Leger. Gentlemen, good morning.
Morning, EA. How you doing?
Awesome. Hey, Deuce, we got the same stylist here because we picked the same shirt.
I love it. Yeah, you know, when you're in South Florida, you got to have that South Florida feel. I live here year-round, but I figured, AA, that everybody would be in their South Florida gear. I see Ethan, he'll be on the show later. He's got his, light purple shirt on, so I figured, why not? Give him that real, Miami Vice feel.
Oh, my God, I love it. Crockett and Tubbs. Hey, Quincy Enunwa is with us, too, from California. Gentlemen, let's start what happened on Monday night. The football world stopped when Damar Hamlin, the Buffalo Bills' 24-year-old safety, sustained cardiac arrest. But it's been encouraging news since then. Dudes, just take me through your emotions Monday and now there on game day here as the Jets and the Dolphins prepare and the NFL prepares to play this weekend's games.
Yeah, EA, and Quincy, you can speak to this. The NFL is a brotherhood. It's a fraternity. So when one of our brothers goes down, it affects us all. I mean, the only thing I cared about, EA and Quincy, was the health and safety of Damar Hamlin. I couldn't wait to hear, the progress of him. And when we got that news, it was like a weight was lifted off of my chest, right? I think it was a weight lifted off of everybody's chest in the NFL because, like I stated, this is a brotherhood, man, and we have the unique ability to be in this, exclusive fraternity, right? There's been less than 5,000 players that play in NFL history. So, again, when one of us goes down, it hits us hard. And then just thinking about it from a family perspective, right? If you're his mom or his uncle who drove down to Cincinnati to watch this game, I can't fathom what was going through their head. So I'm glad that he's progressing and the trajectory looks good and looks like he's going in the right direction. Was able to FaceTime his teammates. And I know just being in Buffalo and having played for that organization and knowing some of those guys on that team, that was big for them to be able to talk to their teammate to make sure he was good.
We're watching Whitehead right now. He grew up playing against Hamlin when they were little kids, and then they played together at Pitt. And they were actually roommates with the Pitt Panthers. They were both recruited to play cornerback, and Pat Narduzzi made the pair college safeties. I'll tell you what, this has to be an emotional moment for everybody in the league, Quincy, but especially Jordan Whitehead, one of Damar Hamlin's closest friends.
Yeah, definitely. And this is such a violent game we play. I think sometimes we forget the things that can happen. I think the most violent injury that I've seen was, somebody hurting their legs and breaking it, snapping it. I thought even for myself, it was hard to get back in the game and think about that possibly happening to me. So I can only imagine a guy that you've grown up with, you went to school with, you were roommates with him, and you see that on Monday. Now you have to come out on Sunday and go perform. It's very challenging. I think that's one of those things that people don't really understand about this game is that, we really have to kind of turn off some of our human emotions. It's not really a game that you can go out there. It's really primal. You go out there and you have to butt heads with people, knowing that anything can happen at any time. Any injury, you can be paralyzed. Anything can happen. So, for these guys to go out there this weekend, I commend them, and I think that it really shows the Warriors that are out in the field this week.
Yeah, Leger, it's really inspirational, the brotherhood that is the National Football League. You see Joe Flacco warming up right now in South Florida, and every Jet, every Dolphin has on that shirt and pregame warm-ups love for DeMar with the number 3 on it. They have all rallied together.
Yeah, it shows the unity of this exclusive fraternity and brotherhood of the NFL. Like, when one is affected, we're all affected by this. And right now, we're all DeMar Hamlin, right? Because, like Q said, at any moment, we don't think about this when we go on the field because you really can't have that thought in the back of your head. But it could be your last play anytime you walk out on that field. So I think it hit a little close to home for everybody in the NFL this past week when we saw one of our brothers going through cardiac arrest, getting CPR, being resuscitated on the field. Now everybody is really galvanized around this. We're all in DeMar's corner, and everybody today is playing for DeMar Hamlin.
Yeah, he remains in critical condition right now, but he's been able to talk. His neurological state is really in a good place, so all signs pointing up for number 3. Fans, here's your chance to participate in Pregame Central presented by Bud Light. Jets Pro Bowl linebacker C.J. Mosley will have 9 tackles today against the Dolphins and reach 160 for the year. You can vote right now. You'll get your results later on in our All In or Not Today segment. As we look ahead to the game today, gentlemen, Quincy, the quarterback carousel continues for the New York Jets. Joe Flacco actually started the season for the Jets, and now he'll end the season as the Jets' starting quarterback.
Yeah, what a merry-go-round, what a full circle moment for Joe Flacco. You know, this team has been going through so many different injuries, so many different unfortunate events that have created this environment that we're in right now where they're not able to make the playoffs. But, you know, I think that Joe Flacco wants to do better than he did the last time he was out. You know, this is the last time he was out, he wasn't, I don't think, it felt as though he wasn't prepared to go out there. He thought that maybe he wouldn't have to go out there. So I know now we're really game planning for a week for the opponent, for what he's going to do. He's going to go out there and have a better show. You know, as a veteran, as a guy that's played in Super Bowls, played in multiple games, I think he's going to be prepared to really bring this team a victory in the last game of the season.
Well, Flacco, who's done so many things in the National Football League, is looking for his 100th career win as a starter in regular season play. Leger, on the other side of the coin, how about the Dolphins' position? They are having issues with quarterback instability themselves. Skylar Thompson's going to make the start for Miami today, and a must-win for the Finns.
Yeah, EA, it's not just the Jets, right? This has been the synonymous theme around the NFL. There's been so many teams that had injury at the quarterback position. We just saw it last night, right? The Tennessee Titans versus Jacksonville Jaguars. They're on their 3rd quarterback, Josh Dobbs. The Jets have used 3 different quarterbacks, actually 4 if you count Strevler at the quarterback position. The Miami Dolphins are down to their third quarterback too, their draft pick from this year, and Skylar Thompson. Now the Jets kind of got after him last time they played up in MetLife Stadium. He came in for the injured Teddy Bridgewater after the first play because Sauce Gardner came off the edge, blitzed him. He had to go into concussion protocol. And we got 2 sacks, harassed him a lot. Sauce Gardner ended up getting an interception in that game too because of the pressure from the defensive line. I look for the Jets' defensive line to really get after Skylar Thompson. But let's not get it twisted, EA. They're going to try to run the ball effectively, this Miami Dolphins team, right? Because this is a young quarterback. This is a win and get in scenario if the New England Patriots lose. So if you're Mike McDaniel, you're not going to try to put the game too much in your quarterback's hands, right? This is a rookie quarterback. You want the game to be easy for him. Get him some easy throws, but you're going to lean heavily on that run game.
Hey, guys, is this a tough spot for the Jets? You both were in this position, actually, in South Florida against the Dolphins in 2014 and 13 and 14. The New York Jets prevented the Dolphins from having a winning record. And then Dews and I were exchanging texts late last night about this. Actually, in 2013, the Jets, and Dews was a member of this team, Rex Ryan prevented the Dolphins from making the playoffs with a win. So the Jets, similar spot today as 2013, Leger.
Yeah, we love coming down here and being the spoiler down here in South Florida. Q can speak to the 2014 season. I believe that was his first game actually being activated from practice squad, had a few special team tackles. I believe had a catch that game as well, but Geno Smith went off that day. Eric Decker went off that day. And on defense, we just suffocated them. Now, going back to 2013, I remember that game vividly, EA, because I think mathematically we still had an outside chance of getting in but we had to beat the Miami Dolphins. And on defense, we suffocated them. I remember D. Milner won defensive player of the week for rookies that week. He got the Pepsi belt. I'm not sure if they had the Pepsi belt back then, but I believe we only surrendered 7 points in that game. We were suffocating. Geno was efficient with the football. Bilal Powell ran the ball really well, and we got out of there. Adversely, here's something that we can talk about that we aren't fond memories. 2015, it was the opposite way, right? We had a chance to win and get in. We went to Buffalo. Rex Ryan's got his revenge game and beat us, and we didn't go to the playoffs. So you got to know when you're that team that has nothing to play for, you want that other team to feel that same anger and frustration at the end of the season. Like, you're going home with us. So if you're the New York Jets today, you can be spoiled. And if you look at the history, we've done a really good job of coming down here and getting victories at the end of the season.
Great points.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Q.
Yeah, those are all great points. There's not too much I need to say about it. I think we know that Robert Saleh is a guy that keeps receipts, so he's a guy that kind of pays attention to these type of things. So it makes sense if he's going to bring his guys in to make sure that they want to play spoiler this week. On another thing, though, Deuce talked about how in 2014 that was my first game. So a lot of times in this last game when you don't have a playoff chance, you're going to play a lot of the younger guys as well, maybe on special teams. So you're going to have a little bit of a spark. I think that's one thing that I tried to do when I came in that year was go out there and make some plays and bring a spark to the team. We didn't have a playoff chance, but this was our last game. This is our opportunity to at least put on a show. So you're going to see, I feel, a lot of guys doing a lot of different things. Maybe even on offense, maybe there might be a couple trick plays. We saw the Chiefs pull out a trick play. I don't know if we have that in our bag, but who knows?
Man, I love that play. All right. It is time for Game Day Storylines presented by Bud Light. Let's go over to another area inside the stadium, and that's Caroline Hendershot, Ethan Greenberg, who are standing by. We always talk about weather. I got to imagine we don't have much to talk about today. It looks perfect from this vantage point. And then furthering something that we started here, guys, is what is the significance of this game for the Jets?
As far as weather, EA, you're right. It is absolutely beautiful. We have some overcast, so the sun isn't too hot, but it's 75 and sunny down here in Miami, so really couldn't wish for any better weather.
No, the clouds are nice. The occasional sun peeking through the clouds, also nice at times. But in terms of the significance of this game, the obvious one is that the Jets can play spoiler for the Miami Dolphins' playoff chances, because with a win today, the Jets would eliminate Miami from postseason contention. And then also just as an organization, like the Jets have not swept an AFC East opponent since 2016. They've not won in Miami since 2015. So there's a lot at stake here for the Jets. And with the win, they'd also double their win total from last year in year 2 under Robert Saleh.
Yeah, that's a good point right there because, of course, the Jets just 4 wins in 2021. Disappointing end to this season after starting out with a 7-4 record, but you still can double your win total from a year ago. Anybody who's watched this team knows that this is a more talented roster. Where do we start with the lineup changes? At the top of the show, we started talking about Joe Flacco, but throughout the Jets roster, you got to have a roster card in front of you today to know who's playing and where they're at.
Yeah, so let's just start with the offensive line, because yesterday there was a 5-player transaction. I guess it's a 10-player transaction, 5 going down to injured reserve, 5 being signed to the active roster. 3 of those 5 offensive linemen who would have started today: Dwayne Brown, George Fant, and Nate Herbig. And at tackle, you're looking at Cedric Ogbuehi, and you're looking at Mike Remmers, and then Laurent Duvernay-Tardif. If he plays, because he's questionable with an injury, he would be the right guard. If not him, it would be Dan Feeney. And when you think about the names I just said, Mike Remmers, Cedric Ogbuehi, LDT, those are 3 guys who, one, were backups last week, but 2, they were mid-season additions to this team. So that just is a microcosm of the injuries that the Jets have had to deal with throughout the course of the season. The other 2 players who went down on injured reserve, Brandon Eccles and LaMarcus Joyner.
Ethan mentioned injuries and Dwayne Brown, and Robert Saleh spoke about him earlier this week, saying he's surprised he made it this long. He's been playing through a shoulder injury all season long. He said they don't make guys like him in the NFL anymore. He's so beyond special and always team-oriented first. That's why he won the team's selfless this Warrior Award. But as a whole, Coach Saleh said that the veterans of this team deserve and they've earned the right to finish the season however they'd like. So between who's in and who's out, there's going to be a lot of changes probably to the lineup that we're used to, mentioning all of those transactions.
Right.
So like you said, EA, the no card is really important today because you're going to see a lot of numbers probably on the field that you aren't used to seeing.
Well, yeah, and the one thing I will add, typically when teams are eliminated from postseason contention, you're talking about young guys getting opportunities. And to Caroline's point, Robert Saleh said the veterans on this team deserve to finish how they start. There is one player, though, in the backfield, in the secondary, that we know will have significant playing time, a young guy, undrafted free agent, Tony Adams. So he's expected to get significant run, could probably start today. The other young player that I have my eye on is Jeremy Ruckert, because Robert Saleh had some kudos to Jeremy Ruckert for the way that he's practiced, essentially, even though he hasn't gotten a lot of playing opportunities throughout the course of the year. And with C.J. Uzomah questionable, if he cannot go, I would imagine Ruckert would be up in the season finale.
Okay, thanks. We will be checking in with you both shortly. You're watching Pregame Central, presented by Bud Light. It is the Jets and the Dolphins today. Jets concluding their regular season. Right now they have a 7-8 record. Everything is still on the table for the Miami Dolphins. Both actually enter this game on 5-game losing streaks. The Dolphins have hopes of a playoff berth, but they have to win and get some help with a Buffalo Bills defeat of the New England Patriots. If Miami beats the Jets today, they will indeed be in the postseason. So the Jets certainly can play spoiler. Let's go to South Florida right now and bring in Brian Baldinger. Baldy, you look great. How you feeling today?
Yeah, I'm good. You know, I got my sunblock on here. I'm getting attacked by this Florida sun, but I'm used to it, so I'm good. I'm just kind of checking out the field here, watching the guys get warmed up, both sides of the ball. Everybody knows what's at stake right now, so just getting ready for the game.
Baldy, let's get to it quick. You've been in the NFL for decades. Have you ever seen a week like the one we just experienced?
No. I mean, we've never seen a situation like what happened on Monday night. We've never seen the galvanization around a player like DeMar, like we have witnessed, watched, prayed. People that aren't even football fans are following the story. It was way bigger than football, as we knew from the very beginning. But it looks like it's going to be a good ending, and that's all we wanted. That's all we wanted to have happen. It took a while to get there, but it's a relief. We saw the emotion yesterday in the games that were played. I think there'll be similar emotion out here to kind of kick this game off as well.
Yeah. Hey, Baldy, as far as this game is concerned, quarterback instability has been the theme for both the Jets and the Dolphins. The Jets will finish the year with Joe Flacco as their starter, and the Dolphins, in a must-win situation, they're turning to a rookie quarterback, Baldy, and Skylar Thompson.
It's just the league right now. EA, it's hard to keep them healthy. You know, the Jets have played 4, the Dolphins have played 3. Skylar has started the game earlier this year when Teddy Bridgewater was injured. He was, out of Kansas State. He's going to get that shot today. Flacco, obviously has been in the lineup, out of the lineup. I mean, trying to keep your quarterback healthy right now in this league is very, very difficult, but it's also paramount if you want to be a winning team, winning organization, and play for the playoffs.
There's Sauce Gardner, the impressive Jets rookie cornerback, a Pro Bowler who leads the National Football League with 20 PTs. He has a DeMar Hamlin jersey on there in pregame warmups. Baldy, regardless of win or loss today, do you think the Jets have some building blocks that are going to be in place that this fan base should be excited about no matter what happened at the end of the season here? Disappointing end for the green and white.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the year that Garrett Wilson has been encouraging. What we saw from Breece Hall before the injury was nothing short of amazing. Some of the touchdown runs he had, some of the runs. What Quinnen Williams has done this year has been phenomenal. What Sauce and DJ Reed are doing on the corners. I think there's some real building blocks. It's always going to start, EA, and I'm sure you've talked about it in the show, just the shuffling of the deck again on the offensive line. That's where it is always going to start. You want to keep your quarterback healthy. You want to be a consistent offense in this league. You want to score points it's got to start with an offense line. You'll see another shuffle deck today.
Yep.
More guys put on injury reserve this year today. So, I mean, that's where it's going to begin in the offseason for the Jets. It's just getting stability at that group.
Baldy, how about the steps? Let's end here. How about the steps the Jets have taken on the defensive side of the ball? This is a unit that finished 32nd in the National Football League last year. They enter the final week of the regular season number 3 in the NFL.
It's been amazing. And really, you know, what Joe Douglas and, you know, what Robert Saleh want are depth on the defensive line. They want the strength of the team to be in the trenches, and they have delivered. I mean, Quinn's having an all-pro season. You know, what Carl Lawson has done, Bryce Huff, the whole group, it's been short. Then C.J. Mosley just gives you consistent, smart effort every week. Quincy has been really good. The corners have been solid. The safeties have been good, and they played well together. And so they consistently keep the score down. They consistently give the Jets a chance to win every week. And so kudos to them. They have gone through their share of injuries as well, but they have played well as a group, and I think it's something that every Jet fan can look forward to going forward right now.
Well, Baldy, you got the call on national radio today. Here's what I'm looking at. The Jets need some kind of early spark after all these events of the last few weeks when they just couldn't get it done. Particularly disappointing were Jacksonville and then Seattle. Do you expect them to come out and show some different stuff and not leave? I mean, throw it all out there. Throw everything out there today.
Well, you know, everybody's going to be scoreboard watching, okay, around the league for the 7th playoff spot in the AFC. Certainly Miami has a shot. They'll be watching what Buffalo is doing against New England. Pittsburgh will be watching as they battle Cleveland today. I mean, Jets could be a spoiler. Why not go out there? You know, end the game, end the season on a winning note. They've got a terrible losing streak going on right now. Like, play spoiler, and just, I'm with you. Whether it's onside kicks, fake punts, you know, reverses, formations we have not seen, blitzes that we might have never witnessed yet this year. I can see something like that going on today. I would be drawing up stuff in the dirt today to try to do everything I can to get a win and play spoiler, EA.
I agree, Baldy. Open it up, let it out there, clear everything out of your playbook. Hey, have a good one today. You're on the call for Jets Dolphins. Great catching up as always. Let's bring back Quincy Enunwa and Leger Douzable for our Sunday spotlights, and start with you, Quincy.
Yeah, so my Sunday spotlight will be the Jets' run game. You know, you look at the last time they played, Breece Hall, fortunately was playing, and he almost had 200 all-purpose yards. He had the 100 receiving, 97 rushing. You know, this week the Jets are going to hope that they can have Ty Johnson, Zonovan Bam Knight to pick up the load there. You know, they played well last week. They had 2 15-plus yard rushes. So you got guys that can make plays, big plays when needed. You know, they just need to get more opportunities. Each of them had 8 rushes. I'm looking for them to run the ball more this week. Take the load off of Joe Flacco. You know, give them an opportunity to make easy passes, but built off of the run game.
The Jets enter this game 25th in the National Football League in rushing, 103 yards per game. The Dolphins have been pretty sound against the run this year. Number 8 in the NFL, giving up about 107 yards per game. We're watching Michael Carter there warm up down in South Florida. Leger, how about your Sunday spotlight?
Yeah, I'm going to go the opposite way, right? It's the run game from the Miami Dolphins. You look at Raheem Mostert and what he did versus the Jets earlier in the season, went over 100 yards. He has been special at certain spots for the Miami Dolphins throughout this season, right? We saw versus the Buffalo Bills, him average over 8 yards a carry and go over 100 yards in that game. So, yeah, you talked about this run defense. It is significantly better than it was last year. Dead last in the NFL last year, the New York Jets run defense was significantly better, 8 right now. But last week gave up some leakage yardage to the Seattle Seahawks, right? Kenneth Walker III had a really good day, went over 100 yards rushing against this Jets defense. So that's something to watch today, right? Because Skylar Thompson is starting at quarterback. There will be a heavy emphasis on the run game for the Miami Dolphins. So this run defense for the Jets has to show up in a big way.
I love it. Yeah, they are definitely going to focus in on Mostert today and hopefully load that box against the rookie quarterback Skylar Thompson. The first game between the Jets and the Dolphins, 40-17. The Jets won that ball game. Seeing Thompson most of the time as Teddy Bridgewater exited early. Let's get to our X Factors right now and bring in everybody. We got Ethan, Caroline, Leger, and Quincy. Q, we're going to start with you for an X Factor.
All right, cool. So I think for my X Factor, I'm going to go with Joe Flacco. I spoke about him a little bit previously in the show. I even spoke about him with the run game. I think it's going to be important for Joe Flacco to really have a great game for this Jets team. They need something. They need a spark. It's been hard with the different quarterbacks they've had, the carousel. So we need some stability today. We need a guy to go out there and make a play for them so they can end the season on a high note.
That's a good one. You never know what the future's going to hold. I mean, you would have told me before the season that the Jets would start Flacco in week 1 and week 18. I would have said you're crazy, but here we are. Leger, how about your X Factor?
Yeah, I know EAU and Baldy were talking about this earlier. I'm going to go with the Jets offensive line. We know that there has been some pieces getting moved around at the offensive line. Dan Feeney, Cedric Ugbueni, Mike Rimmers. You guys, this is an opportunity to go put good film out there. Q, you can speak to this, right? You may not make it with the Jets next year, but there's 31 other teams, and they're going to be watching this film. So this offensive line is going to be monumental against this Miami defense with Josh Boyer, who likes to blitz and put his corners on island. So communication will be key with this offensive line. And them gelling, I know it's going to be a short week for them because I believe Robert Saleh didn't announce till Tuesday that these guys were going to start. So they really haven't worked together all that much. But communication will be a key against Josh Boyer and this Miami defense who likes to blitz a lot.
Yeah, they're going to bring them. They're probably blitzing off the bus right now down there. Caroline, how about your X Factor?
My X Factor for today is Dolphins running back Raheem Mostert, because he has been having a hell of a year for himself. He has two career high stats. He has 820 rushing yards on the season, but then also 4.8 yards per carry. He also has had 2 100-yard rush games this season. One of them came against the Jets in week 5. So if the Jets can stop him, that's going to change things for the Jets offense, make it easier, or Jets defense, make it easier for them. But it really comes down to him and controlling that run game.
Mostert's got speed to burn. The Jets have to be in their gaps today. We saw that early, a mishap against the Seattle Seahawks in K9, Kenneth Walker. Ethan, you don't anticipate a low-scoring game by the direction you're going with.
Yeah, I'm going with Greg Zuerlein here, the kicker for the Jets, because to your point, it could be a very low-scoring game given, one, the Jets' injuries, especially up front. So if the Jets capitalize on field position and let's say they can't score a touchdown, field goals going to be what they're going to have to settle for, obviously. But Greg Zuerlein has been great since joining the Jets. He's converting 82% of his field goals this year. He's missed 1 extra point, so he's been very good for the Jets. He's 6 of 10 from 50-plus yards, and he has a couple franchise record. Remember, he booted one over 60, and the conditions are great from a kicking perspective. There's no wind right now. It's very sunny, so I would expect Greg Zuerlein to have a good game, but he is my X factor for today.
Yeah, I misspoke there. Obviously, you're thinking that it's going to be a low-scoring game, and he can continue to rub it in here with the weather. We get it up here in the Northeast. We understand it's a nice day down there. Okay, I'm going Tyler Conklin. He had 6 catches, 80 yards receiving last week against the Seahawks. He also has opportunities perhaps to set a couple career highs. Last year, Minnesota, 61 catches, 593 yards receiving, and 3 touchdowns. He's got 56 catches quietly this year for 539 yards and 3 touchdowns. So maybe with a big day, he could set a career mark in terms of receptions and receiving yards. Okay, we're going to continue to motor on here. Pregame Central, presented by Bud Light. All in or not today. Before we start, Quincy is the winner of our regular season competition. Q, I promised you the floor. So do you have any words?
Well, you see this big grin on my face. I'm proud of myself, but I appreciate all the competition. I appreciate everybody that came in and tried to beat me this year. I'm going to try to be humble, but it's hard to be humble when you come in as a rookie and you do so great. So I got to talk myself up a little bit. But I also, it was fun. It was fun doing this. It was great to kind of do the challenge and everything. So I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody does this week as the last week.
Very humble. I really love it when people say, I appreciated the competition. They typically say that after they actually won the competition. Quincy, we applaud you. Caroline, you're a rookie. You had some ups and downs in year one. Let's see if you can finish off the year on a high note. Justin Hardy will have one special teams tackle today. He's already set a career high this year in special teams tackles.
While you were very kind to say that I've had some ups, I think I've majoritively had a lot of downs. So let's hope I can finish the year on a high note. But I'm going with all in, of course, very classic. But Justin Hardy has been kind of an unsung hero in my mind this year. He has a career high 14 tackles on special teams. He's a Pro Bowler. He's truly the heart and soul of this special teams unit. And so I think for him to get one tackle, it's all in days work for him, right? So I'm all in. I'm hoping the best for him to end his season on a high note as well.
Caroline, we wish you a lot of luck today. Ethan, very simply, the Miami Dolphins are making the playoffs. All in or not today?
I'm going not today on this one. And one, I'm not going to be on the show and say, yes, the Miami Dolphins are going all in, but I really do believe the Jets have a very good chance. And Vegas believes the Jets are underdogs by about 3.5 points. And I understand, given all the injuries, but I think that this is going to be a close game. It could really go to anybody. So I'm going to say not today. The Miami Dolphins will not be in postseason contention.
And let's just be clear here. You got the Jets beating the Dolphins, or do you have perhaps the Bills beating the Patriots?
Well, so I was going to say, I think you kind of changed the all in or not today on me there. I am not today on the Dolphins making the playoffs. I was not today on the original question as well. But if the Dolphins win and the Patriots lose and the Pittsburgh Steelers win, I don't know what happens in that scenario off the top of my head. So I was hoping to get a bailout, but I appreciate the call out. So I'm going not today regardless of what the question is.
Fair enough. Okay, let's move on to Leger. Dudes, Quinnen Williams has had a phenomenal year. 13 sacks. He's got 12 sacks. He's the team MVP. He's a Pro Bowler. He's going to be an All-Pro. Today, he will collect his 13th sack. All in or not today?
Well, EA, I'm all in. And players can say they're not watching what other players do. That's nonsense. We all saw what Chris Jones did last night on Saturday Night Football versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Has 14 sacks on the season. I guarantee you, Quinnen Williams is trying to surpass that number. You talked about him being potentially an all-pro. Right now, it's a three-man race, and I really honestly think it's only a two-man race with him and Chris Jones. But Jeffrey Simmons is in that conversation as well. So if you're Quinnen Williams, you kind of want to stamp your season, go out here, have a great performance to solidify yourself as an all-pro in the NFL.
Love it. Q, let's go to you. Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle will count for at least one touchdown. They have 15 combined touchdowns today and nearly 3,000 yards receiving, 2,999. But with that being said, will Hill, Waddle account for one touchdown today?
Yeah, so I wanted to give myself a little bit of a challenge, but I'm also going to admit, right, like the Dolphins are not going out there with their starting quarterback. They're going out there again with Skylar Thompson. We saw what happened last week. They were barely able to put up any points, barely able to have a sufficient offense to win a game. So I think, again, the Jets defense, knowing that this is the season, this is the end of the season, you have two cornerbacks, one a Pro Bowl alternate, one a Pro Bowler. Guys that want to really end the season with a bang, go into the Pro Bowl, at least happy about what they did and accomplished. I think they're going to make sure that they shut down these two receivers again.
All right, my all-in or not today is Raheem Mostert will average 4.8 yards a carry. That's his season average. I'm saying not today. I think the Jets load the box. I think Mosley and Quincy Williams are going to have big games. The gap control will be there. Again, against Skylar Thompson, you really have to focus on the ground game. Let's look at our fan question. C.J. Mosley will record 9 tackles and reach 160 for the year. This is how you voted. About 74% yes for the Jets Pro Bowl inside linebacker. Let's go back to South Florida quickly with Ethan and our game day inactives.
All right, EA, here are the inactives for today. Quarterback Mike White, running back James Robinson, tight end CJ Uzama, wide receiver Irvin Charles, and defensive lineman Bradley Anai, which means, like we were talking about earlier, Jeremy Ruckert will play today against the Miami Dolphins.
All right, good stuff from everybody on today's show. Greens, thanks for the inactives. We will be back after the game for Jets overtime. This is the Jets' final game in regular season play, a chance to play spoiler, and the National Football League, the Jets and the Dolphins continue to send their love and support to Damar Hamlin. Have a great afternoon.